So I've been approached with a very interesting theory on the Jodi Huisentruit case.
Mm-hmm.
So we covered that, the beginning of May? Well, so Jodi was this woman that 25 years old, roughly. All indications was that she was abducted just outside of her apartment in the early morning hours back in 1995. So this person that approached me with this theory says, hey, look, this is not just a theory. It's also something that I have some firsthand knowledge about. And I'm like, firsthand knowledge about what? And they say, well, I'm like 99% sure I know who abducted and killed Jodi Huisentruit.
For people who haven't listened, that's episode 2000. That's episode 208, 209.
Did you say 2000?
In the year 2000. I don't know.
I don't know that we'll make it to episode 2000.
It's been a very long weekend.
So
happy 4th of July.
So, okay. So here's the story.
Well, let's go back just a little bit because we've been contacted by victims' family members, friends, people that have, we've reported on people as suspects, and then we get contacted by them.
We've been contacted by some of the suspects, yes.
Yeah, and it's, if you would have told me when we started years ago that, that would happen, I wouldn't expect it. I mean, I'm shocked by the amount of people that will contact us. I'm also shocked by the amount of people that are willing to talk with us, even after I call them a piece of shit.
Well, I wouldn't have believed that would have happened in a million years because we're talking when we first started doing this, we just sat down in a garage, cracked a few beers, hit record. Mm-hmm. We didn't actually even think anybody would listen, right. let alone call us or email us. Yeah. But this is a tricky thing to talk about, Captain, because if I'm going to reveal this theory, I have to really throw somebody under the bus here. Mm-hmm. But this is all information coming from a source. This is not my opinion. This is not me saying this is what happened.
Right. Basically what you're saying, this is a theory. This
is what I've been told.
Right. We don't have the evidence to back this up.
So this person tells me that in 1995 that they moved to Forest City, Iowa, and started working at a company that's like within the Winnebago Industries. Okay, so like Winnebago's this huge company, and they probably have smaller companies that do work for them.
Right.
He says that when he started working there, 1995, this is the same year that Jodi was abducted. He says that he worked with two other people in his department. One of them was a man by the name of Randy, and I'll just go ahead and leave his last name out. It's easy to find, and you'll know who this guy is in a little bit. And then there was another guy there that worked with Randy, and his name would have been, we'll call him Todd. Okay, so Randy and Todd already work in this small department at this company that does work for Winnebago. Okay, you follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
When this guy gets to work, now his department is 3 members, 3 men strong. Okay? Anyway, he says Randy was his manager and had trained him on his job. Mm-hmm. And Randy lived in Mason City, which is about 45 minutes from Forest City. So remember, Jodi lived in Mason City.
Mm-hmm.
And this person went on to tell me that Randy lived, quote, very close to Jodi's apartment. That, in fact, Randy lived on Kentucky Avenue, which is the same street as the Key Apartments where Jodi lived. Now, immediately when he's telling me this story, I already knew who this Randy guy is that he's talking about. Now, Randy is the guy that was driving past the Key Apartments on his way into work that morning when he said that he saw a light-colored van, possibly white, with its flashers on. So all these years, that's been a suspicious vehicle, let's say, right? In this case. The problem with that statement, according to this person, to the source that I spoke to, he says that in Randy's statement that he gave to police and gave to the media, he says that I saw this van on my way into work that day. This individual said Randy was not at work that day. The other guy that he worked with was not at work that day either. So these two individuals were absent from work. They were both supposed to be there, but they didn't show up to work. He remembers this specifically because he said, look, I was pissed off. We have 3 men in our department. I'm the only one that showed up that day. I worked my ass off that day. And he didn't know much about Jodi Huisentruit. And this is where it's going to get a little thicker here. He says that
that's what she said.
He had overheard Randy and Todd discussing a woman named Jodi many times. And he said that they joked and laughed about harassing her. Remember, there was some rumor that she might have been stalked, that she had a stalker.
Right.
He said that they joked about following her when she would go out jogging, and that they would put notes and flowers on her doorstep. And he didn't put two and two together. He didn't know, even though Jodi was this kind of famous person because she was on the news, she was a news anchor. He didn't know, he didn't put two and two together that Jodi that they were talking about at work was the news anchor. All he knew, because he started working with these guys about 2 or 3 months before she was abducted.
Right.
And he had just moved to the area himself. He was not from Iowa. So when he gets there, he hears the two guys that he works with talking about harassing this young woman named Jodi. And all he can remember is it's Jodi, and she has what he said was a funny last name. He didn't, at the time, didn't recall what the last name was. So he says